casted 1013. AM Claude responded, over 71 million Americans are on the verge of seeing $580 monthly disappear from their Social Security income. Over 71 million Americans are on the verge of seeing $580 monthly disappear from their Social Security income. Here is precisely what you need to understand and the steps you should take. More than 71 million Americans are approaching a moment when $580 will vanish from their monthly Social Security payment. Not because they made any mistake, not because the government suddenly became insolvent overnight, not because of corruption, poor management, or a bureaucratic glitch, but because of legislation that is already drafted, already enacted, already active, and nobody in Washington is taking meaningful steps to halt it. By the time you finish reading this thorough breakdown, I will walk you through the precise provision embedded inside federal legislation that triggers this reduction automatically, with no ballot, no congressional proceedings, and no notification arriving in your mailbox. But before that, I need you to grasp what is genuinely unfolding here, because the majority of people have this situation completely misunderstood. They believe this is a distant concern. They assume Congress will intervene at the final moment. They believe there is sufficient time remaining. There is not. Viewers, allow me to introduce Carol, a real-world illustration of what millions are about to face. Carol is 67 years old. She devoted 31 years of her life working as a registered nurse in Dayton, Ohio. She worked overnight shifts, back-to-back shifts, holidays, and weekends, performing the type of work that keeps medical facilities operational and patients recovering. She retired in 2023 after loyally contributing to Social Security across 4 full decades. Throughout her professional life, Carol paid more than $180,000 into the Social Security system. She was not wealthy. She was not a high-income earner. She was a dedicated nurse performing honorable work. Today, Carol collects $2,071 every month from Social Security. That payment represents her entire retirement income. No pension, no rental earnings, no investment holdings. Social Security is her sole financial foundation. And in 2032, just 6 years from today, Carol's payment does not get deliberated in Congress. It does not get examined by a subcommittee. It does not undergo a hearing or a legislative vote. It gets reduced automatically by federal statute, and no agency will mail her an explanation of why. Her revised monthly benefit, $1,491. That represents $580 less each and every month, $6,960 less annually. If Carol reaches age 85, which her physicians consider probable, that amounts to more than $110,000 in total forfeited benefits. Money she contributed to the system across 31 years of nursing, gone. Not because she was deceived, not because she overlooked a form, not because she did a single thing incorrectly, but because of a law that has existed on the legislative books for decades while Congress determined her retirement was not worth the political sacrifice of addressing. That is Carol's situation, and it is about to become the reality for 71 million Americans just like her. Here is what we are covering today and why it matters directly to you. Here is what we are going to examine thoroughly. First, the specific legal mechanism embedded in federal law that makes this reduction entirely automatic. So you recognize this is not conjecture. It is codified statute. Second, why 2032 is now the officially revised depletion date and what that timeline means if you are currently 60, 65, or 70 years old. Third, why Congress has been aware of this emergency for 43 years and has taken no meaningful action to prevent it. Fourth, the 3 targeted financial strategies you can begin executing right now to reduce how severely this affects your personal finances. And fifth, the one recent legislative change that actually represents encouraging news and how to verify whether you are already benefiting from it. That final section is the one almost no one is discussing, yet it could mean several $1,000s added to your income right now. Let us dive in. The law that makes the reduction automatic and why no emergency mechanism exists. The cut is woven into Title II of the Social Security Act. This is the identical legislation that established Social Security back in 1935. It also created the rule governing what happens when the trust fund exhausts its reserves. That rule is straightforward and unforgiving. Social Security is prohibited from borrowing funds, It can only distribute what payroll taxes generate. Currently, the Social Security Trust Fund maintains a reserve, funds that accumulated across decades when contributions exceeded distributions. But that reserve diminishes every single year because more individuals are drawing benefits than are actively contributing to the system. Demographics have fundamentally shifted. Baby boomers are retiring in enormous numbers. Birth rates have declined substantially. The ratio of workers to beneficiaries has collapsed dramatically. In 1950, there were 16 workers contributing to the system for every single retiree receiving benefits. Today, that proportion stands at 2.8 to 1. By 2035, projections show it dropping to 2.3 to 1. The arithmetic simply does not function. And when the reserve reaches zero, the law activates automatically. No vote, no presidential directive, no emergency legislative session. The Social Security Administration simply begins distributing only what monthly payroll taxes generate. Currently, payroll taxes cover approximately 77% of promised benefits, which means when the trust fund is exhausted, payments get reduced by 23% immediately on the day the fund empties. And here's the detail that almost nobody has been told. The 23% reduction is merely the starting threshold. The Congressional Budget Office projects that the gap between incoming revenue and owed benefits will expand every year following 2032. By 2033, the shortfall reaches 28%. By 2035, it could reach 30% or beyond. That means Carol's $2,071 monthly payment drops to $1,491. That is $580 monthly, gone. No notification, no appeal process, no reimbursement, no protective grandfather clause. It activates automatically by law. And unless Congress amends that law before 2032, no safety mechanism exists. 2032 is now the official figure and what it means for your specific situation. The Congressional Budget Office, the nonpartisan agency responsible for evaluating every piece of legislation in Washington, revised their projections in February 2026. They advanced the Social Security Trust Fund depletion date forward by 1 year, from 2033 to 2032. That is the most current official projection, not sourced from a research organization, not from a political lobbying group, but from the CBO. 6 years. Allow me to frame that based on your current age. If you are 60 years old today, the trust fund runs dry when you reach 66, precisely the age when the majority of people intend to begin collecting Social Security. If you are 65 years old today, you have 6 years before the automatic reduction takes effect. If you are already retired and receiving payments, your benefit amount changes in 6 years with no advance notification, no telephone call, no adjustment period. 1 month, you receive your complete benefit. The following month, you receive 77% of it. This is not a catastrophic forecast. This is not alarmist rhetoric. This is the Congressional Budget Office, February 2026, 6 years from depletion. And here is what makes it even more pressing. The CBO has consistently been revising the date earlier, not later. 10 years ago, depletion was projected for 2034. 5 years ago, it was 2033. Now it sits at 2032. Every time the projections are refreshed, the situation becomes more urgent, not less. Why Congress has known about this for 43 years and taken no meaningful action? Here is the portion of this discussion that should genuinely anger you. Congress has been aware of this situation since 1983. That was the last occasion Washington enacted substantial Social Security reform. They gradually raised the full retirement age from 65 to 67. They increased payroll tax rates. They implemented certain modifications to the benefit calculation formula, and then everything stopped. For 43 consecutive years, every single Social Security trustees report has communicated the same message. The existing structure is unsustainable. The trust fund will be depleted. Benefits will be automatically reduced unless legislative action is taken. Please address this problem. 43 years of documented warnings, 43 years of official government reports, 43 years of publicly available data, and Congress has accomplished nothing. Not because they fail to comprehend the problem, not because viable solutions are unavailable, but because Social Security is referred to as the third rail of American politics. Engage with it and your political career ends. Here is the underlying reason. Republicans generally support raising the retirement age, implementing means testing for higher income beneficiaries, or reducing cost of living adjustments. Democrats generally support raising or eliminating the payroll tax ceiling for high earners, which currently phases out at roughly $160,000 to $170,000 in income. Both parties have proposals on the table. Both sides have introduced legislation. Both camps have economists supporting their respective approaches, but neither party will hand the opposing side a political achievement. So nothing happens year after consecutive year while the timeline contracts. And now we stand 6 years from automatic reductions with still nothing advancing. Currently, there are bills sitting dormant in Congress. The Social Security Expansion Act would increase benefits and extend the program's solvency by raising payroll taxes on earnings exceeding $250,000. The Medicare and Social Security Fair Share Act would apply payroll taxes to investment earnings for high-income individuals. The You Earned It, You Keep It Act would eliminate income taxation on Social Security benefits. Every one of these measures is stalled, not because they were brought to a vote and failed, because they have never received a vote at all. They sit in committee accumulating inaction while the deadline approaches. This challenge was deliberately structured to become someone else's responsibility. A future Congress, a future administration, a future generation of citizens. It has now become your responsibility. And unless you take deliberate steps to protect your financial situation, you will bear the financial consequences, what $580 monthly actually represents in practical life. Allow me to translate this into concrete, everyday terms. Carol currently receives $271 monthly from Social Security. Following the projected 28% automatic reduction expected around 2033, she will collect 1,290 cars. That amounts to $580 less every single month. Let us examine what $580 monthly actually purchases. I am your host, and you are watching Senior USA Hub, a complete month of grocery shopping for many older Americans. Prescription medications not covered by Medicare. Utility bills during frigid winter months or sweltering summer heat. Car insurance premiums, fuel costs, and basic transportation expenses. A modest emergency savings contribution. The fundamental difference between financial stability and persistent financial anxiety. Now extend that across 12 months. $6,860 less annually. If Carol survives to age 85, which is entirely realistic given contemporary life expectancy, that accumulates to more than $110,000 in total forfeited benefits. And remember, Carol contributed to the system across 31 years of professional nursing. She paid in excess of $180,000 throughout her career. This is not charity. This is not a government assistance program. This is compensation she earned through decades of work and dedicated contributions to the system. And it is about to be reduced by law automatically, with no vote and no avenue for appeal. The reduction does not affect everyone identically. Here is something critically important that most people overlook. The cut does not impact everyone to the same degree. It strikes people who claimed benefits at 62 most severely because their foundational benefit is already reduced by roughly 30% compared to their full retirement age benefit. A 28% reduction applied on top of an already diminished benefit is financially devastating. It affects people with no alternative income sources most acutely because they possess no financial reserve to absorb the loss. If Social Security constitutes your only income stream, a $580 monthly reduction is catastrophic. It impacts those who never planned for this scenario most harshly because they will be blindsided when it materializes. If your entire retirement strategy is constructed around the complete benefit figure displayed on your Social Security statement, you are building plans around a number that will cease to exist in 6 years. That represents the difficult reality. But here is the encouraging news, and it is genuinely encouraging. Meaningful action remains available to you right now. 3 counter strategies you can implement immediately to safeguard your retirement. Allow me to present 3 specific, actionable approaches you can begin executing this week to minimize the severity of this reduction's impact on your finances. Strategy 1. Calculate the delayed claiming figures and seriously evaluate postponing your claim. If you have not yet claimed Social Security, this represents the single most powerful instrument at your disposal. Every year you defer claiming beyond age 62 adds approximately 8% permanently to your benefit amount. not 8% for a single year, 8% for the duration of your lifetime. If you claim at 62, you receive approximately 70% of your full retirement age benefit. If you wait until 67, the full retirement age for most individuals today, you receive 100%. If you defer until age 70, you receive approximately 124% of your full benefit. Here is why this matters enormously when a 28% reduction is approaching. Suppose your full retirement age benefit equals $2,000 monthly. If you claim at 62, you receive approximately $1,400 monthly. Following the 28% reduction, that falls to roughly $1,108 monthly. But if you defer until 70, you receive $2,108 monthly. After the 28% reduction, that becomes $1,985 monthly. Identical person, identical work history, identical lifetime contributions. Yet by waiting, you receive approximately $770 more per month even after the reduction across 20 years. That represents approximately $186,000 in additional lifetime income. I fully understand that not everyone has the financial flexibility to wait. If you require the income at 62, that need is real and legitimate. But if you can continue working for additional years, or if you possess other income sources capable of sustaining you until 67 or 70, the mathematics overwhelmingly favor deferring your claim, particularly knowing that a reduction is approaching. Strategy 2. Construct a retirement savings reserve specifically designed to bridge the 580 monthly gap. Approach the 580 monthly shortfall as a knowable, plannable expense, because that is precisely what it is. If you are currently 60, you have 6 years before the reduction takes effect. That represents 72 months available to establish a financial reserve specifically intended to replace that lost income. Here are 3 mechanisms to accomplish this. Option 1. A Roth IRA. If you remain employed and qualify based on income, contribute to a Roth IRA in 2026. If you are over 50, you can contribute up to $8,000 annually, including the catch-up contribution. Over 6 years, that totals $48,000 contributed. And with even modest investment growth, that could reach $55,000 to $60,000 by 2032. Withdrawing $580 monthly tax-free from that account provides approximately 18 years of income replacement. Option 2, a health savings account. If you are enrolled in a high-deductible health plan, maximize your HSA contributions in 2026. If you are over 55, you can contribute up to $5,300 annually, including the catch-up contribution. Across 6 years, that represents $31,800 in contributions. And the significant advantage is that HSA funds can be withdrawn tax-free for qualified medical expenses, which is precisely where much of that $580 monthly shortfall will be felt most acutely. Option 3, a structured annuity. Consider allocating a lump sum into a deferred income annuity specifically configured to begin distributing payments in 2032. You can structure it to generate exactly $580 monthly for the remainder of your life. Depending on your age and the specific product selected, this might require approximately $80,000 to $120,000 upfront. But if that money is currently sitting in a minimal yield savings account, this approach guarantees it replaces the precise income you are about to lose. The fundamental principle here is this: do not simply hope Congress resolves this situation. Plan around the reduction as though it is guaranteed, because legally it already is. Strategy 3. Retrieve your Social Security statement and model your figures at 72% of projected benefits. Stop constructing your retirement plans around figures that legislation may never deliver. Visit ssa.gov immediately. Log into your My Social Security account. If you have not yet established one, create it now. The process requires approximately 10 minutes. Once you have access, examine your projected benefits at 3 claiming ages: 62, 67, which is full retirement age for most people, and 70. Record all 3 figures. Now multiply each one by 0.72, which accounts for the 28% reduction. These adjusted numbers represent your realistic planning baseline, not the larger figures Social Security currently displays, but the reduced figures. Because those reduced amounts are what you will actually receive unless Congress changes the law, and they have had 43 years to act and have chosen not to. Construct your entire retirement budget around the 72% figures. Design your spending, your housing arrangements, your healthcare expenses, and your overall lifestyle around those reduced amounts. And if Congress does act to resolve this before 2032, wonderful. You have effectively given yourself a 28% income increase. But if they fail to act, you are fully prepared. You are not caught off guard. Caught. You will not need to scramble for solutions. You have protected yourself in advance. There is one piece of genuinely positive news, and you need to determine whether it applies to your situation. On January 5th, 2025, the Social Security Fairness Act was signed into law. This legislation eliminated two provisions that had been quietly diminishing benefits for millions of public sector workers and their spouses across decades: the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset. If you or your spouse ever worked in a position that did not contribute to Social Security, such as teaching in certain states, serving as a police officer, firefighter, federal employee, or any state or local government position with a separate pension arrangement, these provisions may have reduced or entirely eliminated your Social Security benefits. The Fairness Act repealed both of them in their entirety. And here is the critically important detail. The repeal applies retroactively to January 2024, which means if you were affected, you may be owed retroactive payments covering more than a full year. The Social Security Administration is processing these adjustments automatically. You are not required to submit a new application. You do not need to place a call or take any independent action unless the adjustment has not yet appeared in your payment. Here is what you need to verify. Step 1. Log into your My Social Security account at ssa.gov. Step 2. Review your most recent benefit payment amount. Step 3. If you worked in a government position and your benefit was previously reduced due to either provision, confirm whether your monthly payment has been increased. Step 4. If it has not been adjusted, contact Social Security at 1-800-772-1213 and ask specifically about your Fairness Act benefit adjustment. This could translate to hundreds of additional dollars monthly and a retroactive lump sum payment covering all of 2024. Do not assume the adjustment has been applied automatically. Verify it directly. Here are your specific action steps for the coming week. Monday, log into ssa.gov and access your Social Security statement. Document your projected benefits at ages 62, 67, and 70. Multiply each figure by 0.72. These are your planning numbers. Tuesday, if you or your spouse held a government position at any point, review your most recent benefit statement to determine whether the Fairness Act adjustment has been applied. If it has not, contact Social Security directly. Wednesday, if you are still employed and have not yet claimed benefits, run the delayed claiming calculations. Determine what your benefit would be at age 70 compared to age 62. Then apply the 28% reduction to both scenarios. Examine the difference in outcomes. Thursday, open a financial planning document or notebook and calculate how much you would need to save between now and 2032 to generate $580 monthly in replacement income. Then identify which savings vehicle aligns best with your situation: a Roth IRA, an HSA, or a structured annuity. Friday, consult with a qualified financial advisor, ideally one who specializes in retirement income planning, and present them with your 72% planning figures. Request their assistance in constructing a retirement strategy built around that reduced income projection. This weekend, have a direct and honest conversation with your spouse or immediate family members. Ensure that everyone in your household understands what is approaching and what concrete steps you are taking to prepare for it. Do not delay this process. 6 years can feel like an extended horizon. It is not, particularly when you are establishing a financial reserve or restructuring an entire retirement plan. Every month you postpone represents compounding growth you will never recover. Final reflections. The reduction is automatic. Your preparation does not have to be. Over 71 million Americans are approaching a moment when $580 monthly disappears from their Social Security income. The legislation is already drafted. The mechanism is already embedded in law. The countdown has already begun. And Congress, despite possessing full awareness of this situation for 43 years, has chosen to accomplish nothing. But you are not without agency. You can defer claiming to maximize your foundational benefit before the reduction arrives. You can establish a dedicated financial reserve specifically designed to replace the $580 monthly shortfall. You can run your projections today and build your entire retirement plan around 72% of your anticipated benefit rather than 100%. You can investigate whether the Social Security Fairness Act has already added more money to your monthly income. And you can stop waiting for a congressional solution and begin engineering your own. Because here is the fundamental truth: the reduction is automatic. But your response to it does not have to be. You have 6 years.